Hello and welcome to our weekly craft, a source for ideas, inspiration, and fun for crafters. I'm Sarah White, Chief Maker at ourdailycraft.com, and this is a special snow day edition of our weekly craft. Have been getting snow all day long here, and that's a little weird in Arkansas. So everyone's home today, and will probably be tomorrow as well, and it's probably have about 8 inches of snow on the ground and it's still falling, so it's a great time to be snuggled up with your crafts and lots of warm things. So I just actually came in from playing in the snow with my daughter. She's 12, and we thought she wasn't going to have any interest in the snow at all, and she decided at lunch today that she wanted to go out and play, and it's really nice, fluffy. You can't make a snowman out of it, but it's fun to smoosh in your hands and, run around in and stuff, so that was good. Em is wearing my Find Your Fade shawl because I had it on when I was outside and I just took it off. This is one of those classic knitting patterns that it feels like everybody's made. I finally made that in 2020 it was like the project I cast on when everything shut down, and so for several months I was working on that, and so it's sort of my pandemic project, even though we all have way more than one pandemic project at this point. So yeah, that's that. I am also wearing the Como knit cardigan, because it's made with knit fabric, from Style Arc. This is a project that I made also last year when I was doing 100-day project for sewing, which I made it 50 days. But this was one of the projects I wanted to make because I had never sewn with sweater knits before, and so I really wanted to do that. It's just a nice, sort of pretty simple, but it has like a yoke in the back, which I'll show you in a second if I can get it off. So it has a little bit of there's a back panel, and then the back goes, and it's a nice long piece, and it has the knit edging. It has big pockets. It's really cozy. I'm pretty proud of this one because it was like getting my first sweater knit sewing project, and I kind of messed it up, but I figured out how to make it work, and I was pretty proud of that. So that's a fun one. And then it's just like a Andrea Knits day, because I'm also wearing my throwover sweater, which I think I also made in 2020. I don't remember. This is a fun one because all of the multicolored yarns that I used came from the same knitting convention that I bought them at, and so that was kind of fun that I got to use them all in the same project. And then the white wool is a Shetland wool that I bought years and years ago, and I was going to make had the idea that I was going to knit all of the projects from Elizabeth Zimmerman's Knitter's Almanac one year, the year that she would have turned 100, because I'm weird like that, and then I never actually did it. I bought the yarn, and I started the January sweater as like this Aran cabled thing, which is great, but that's not like my style and not my level of attention span. So I knit like a couple inches. I probably barely got past the ribbing, and gave up on that. So then I had all of this off-white wool, and I still haven't used it all, but this sweater was put a nice dent in that collection, and I like that I can have, there's a little bit of color. And I also did the colors on the sleeves and at the bottom. I'm not standing up because I'm wearing my pajama pants because it's a snow day, but take my word for it on that. But this is another just nice cozy, because it's a Shetland wool. It's really warm. It was great for going out and playing in the snow earlier. This week I have been working on test projects. So I have a test knit and a test crochet project going on right now, which I think I may have mentioned in last week's. this is a little knit skirt. My needle's really small, so it's hard to tell, and there's some jillion stitch markers. It's done from the waist down, as you can see, but it's also like wedges, and so you increase at each wedge as you go down to make it a little fuller in the skirt. I'm probably about a third of the way done with this one. It's super easy and fun, and I love this yarn. And I'm super excited to have it finished when the time comes. I am also working not as successfully on a crochet test. Let's see if I can grab it. All of my projects are hiding in bags right now, and actually this knit one has ended up in a bag with a zipper because the kittens are a little crazy and they love yarn and they will go to any lengths to get my projects. So I have had things in this bag, which I love this bag because it has sort of my life rules on it: drink coffee, make art, read books, take naps, pet cats. So I love this bag, but I've had it on the couch, you know, like closed up like this, and they will still find a way to burrow inside and pull out my projects. So the zipper topped bag is becoming essential. Here's the little tiny bit of this crochet project I'm working on, which actually is not even, the hook's not here right now. And I think I might need to rip it out again, though I'm getting closer. It's this technique that makes crochet that looks like knit stitches, which is done, it's sort of like a spike stitch, but on every stitch so that it looks like knitting all the way around. And it was a little bit of a learning curve for me. I like to think that I'm decent at crochet, even though I haven't done it as long as I've done knitting or sewing or a lot of other crafts. But so there was a little bit of humility involved in going, oh, I actually don't know how to do that, or I'm just not doing it right, or I wasn't visualizing it right from what the instructions said. So I had to, you know, I'd done 1.5 inches or so of it and then went, oh, this doesn't look the way the sample looks. And then I had to make myself a little swatch to figure out the stitch. And now I'm back to doing the full size that it's supposed to be. It's going to be a cowl. But I'm not 100% sure that I've done it right. So I'm going to have to take a closer look at it and see if I'm on the right track or if I need to rip it out one more time before I really get going on it. That one is also fun because I'm trying to use the same yarns that I used in this sweater. So that blue was this blue. I am not sure that I still have the rest of this green. I found a green that was in the same storage bag as the blue, and the purple. You can't really see in this, but the purple, you can a little bit. The purple also has some green in it. But so I was going to do the colors this time: blue, green, purple, from the bottom up on the cowl. I have some kind of green. I have so much green, so that's fine if it's not the exact same, but I thought it would be fun to, like, again, with the stash busting, but also just to use the same yarns in a different project together again, and just to see the difference, because I'm nerdy like that, and how they looked different stacked in a different order. So we'll see, and I'll have hopefully better progress on that one to report next week, because that's a really quick turn project, since it is small and quick and easy once you get going on it. It's just taken me a little bit more of a learning curve than I anticipated, and that's good. You know, it's good to put yourself out there and try things that you're not totally sure that you're able to do. You know, again, not that it's hard, but it's just not a technique that I had done before. And so, you know, that was part of why I kind of wanted to start doing some test crochet, to have the opportunity to try some things that I haven't tried on my own, and I'll get it. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. And I've been in front of the TV again, when I have my quiet moments, I'm sitting and working on that crochet project. But for the most part, I'm doing a lot of TV knitting right now. So the skirt is a good one for that because it, is mostly just stockinette, and I just have to remember to increase every few rounds to get the shape right. And otherwise, it's just smooth knitting, which is good for TV. Speaking of TV, we've started watching Wheel of Time. We had watched the first episode when it came out a couple months ago, and then we were like, what is going on here? Because neither of us have read the books, but once you get over the hump of the first episode, I feel like it's more kind of traditional fantasy, and it's a little easier to follow. There's more storytelling going on and less just action. And you get to know some of the characters a little better, and that helps to make it a little easier to watch and understand. Reading, I am still in Les Miserables. I'm almost 60% done, which is very exciting. But I took a break to finish some other things. So I finished Pot Liquor Papers, which I was talking about last week, which was a good discussion of Southern food history from the Civil Rights Movement to almost today. That was enjoyable. I also took, in a day last weekend, I read Blue Nights by Joan Didion, which is about her daughter dying and aging and, kind of thinking about your own death and those sorts of things. It's dark and heavy. But, probably I felt like afterwards, maybe I shouldn't have read that all in one day. It was a lot for, practically one sitting of reading, but I enjoyed it. I love Joan Didion, and I'm sorry that we don't have more from her in the future. So yeah, that's mainly what's going on. I did just publish a blog post about since it's February, we finally made it to February, looking at my sort of resolutions, goals for the year. And I had 2 little things that I wanted to do this year, and that is to do a plank every day and to write a little poem every day. So it's not haiku exactly, but they're short. I don't think a single one of them has actually been haiku because I'm not counting syllables or anything, but they're, a few lines. Some of them are only 3 lines, even if the syllables aren't right, but it's, to maybe the longest one is half a page on a little notebook that's like this big. So I can fit 3 poems on a page, basically. So some of them are short, some of them are a little longer. And I started the year with 30 seconds of planking, and I'm adding 5 seconds every week. So I'm up to 50 seconds of planking now. And those are kind of 2 things I do at the end of the day after I do bedtime with our daughter. I'll come downstairs and write my poem and do my plank. And it's kind of nice because then I've done a little physical activity. I've done a little mental activity. It's creative. And I feel like if I've done nothing else in a day, which obviously I'm doing other things, but if I've done no other physical activity, if I've done nothing else I would consider creative, at least I have those things that I've done every day. And that's kind of nice, right? To be like, well, at least I did this thing. I might have not done anything else I meant to do today, but I did this thing. And there's kind of a power in that, even if it's a tiny, tiny thing, to be like, I'm still making progress because I did the little thing. And I managed to do it every day except one. There was one day when I got into bed and went, oh, I totally forgot to do that today. And so that day, I think I hadn't slept well the night before or something, so I just forgot about it. But then I did it in the morning. So I wrote the poem for the previous day and did a plank in the morning, and then I did my poem for the current day and my plank in the evening the way I normally did. Now I have it more as a routine, and so I'm doing it consistently after her bedtime. And it's just, it's been good. I think, I feel like I don't write for myself anymore. Like I do morning pages inconsistently and have for years. Um, but I haven't written stories in a long time. You know, I'm doing work that I get paid for, which is fine. It's great to get paid to write, to the extent that I do. But there's not a lot that's creative and that's just for me. And so having those little poems, it's also a way to like distill the day and be like, okay, what's the thing that I might want to remember about today? Or, you know, like what was good about today? What frustrated me about today? Some of them are that. You know, what was funny today? And it makes me think. And so I'll sit when I'm sitting with, I sit with her in the dark in her bedroom for a few minutes before I leave, after we do our other good night stuff. And so I'll take that time and I'll be like, well, what do I want to write about today? What do I want to remember today? And so that's kind of cool too, because it gives me a way to think about the day and to distill it into a few lines, that thing that I might want to remember. You know, and some days it's like, oh, the cats were really annoying. They grabbed my yarn or my project off the table and, you know, took the ball of yarn from my office all the way downstairs, which did happen one day when I went to get our daughter from school. When I came back, the project was still on the desk, but the ball of yarn was all the way down the hall, down the stairs, across the living room. You know, I don't know how there was that much yarn there, but there was. You know, some days it's, well, it snowed today, or it's, you know, something at work was frustrating, or I had all these Zoom calls and I think that's the most I've smiled all year, or, you know, what I'm reading, or, you know, what a date night looks like when your kid is home because everyone's staying in from Omicron or whatever. You know, it's just little things. And, you know, some of them I probably won't even remember next year what the circumstance was that I was writing about, but I try to make it like descriptive enough that I can be like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened. But we'll see. And, you know, if I keep up with it for the whole year and beyond, if that's something that I go back and look at and it sparks other memories. But I have been enjoying that, and I, you know, would encourage you to do something. You know, it's great to have those little tiny goals, and maybe yours isn't poetry, maybe it's a little drawing every day, or, you know, working 5 minutes on an embroidery project. You know, there's so many of those like daily challenges that crafters do, whether it's like a temperature blanket where you knit or crochet a color that corresponds to the temperature that day, or people do like embroidery journals where you have some kind of symbol for the day, or you're even just practicing stitches, and so maybe there's a particular stitch that you do each day or whatever. You know, just something that shows to yourself, you know, that you're taking your craft seriously, that you want to learn, that you want to practice, you know, and just having that little creative goal that allows you to feel that little sense of accomplishment every day. And that if you do nothing else, you know, surviving these days as a baseline is great, you know, but that if you're not feeling like you can achieve those big creative goals that you would like to be doing, and I am there, you know, there are books I want to write, there are big projects I want to take on. I'm just not feeling it right now, and that's totally okay. But if you want to feel like some sense of accomplishment, that like at least I could do this thing, I really encourage you to get a tiny project like that, whatever it is, whatever would work for you, that would make you feel like, yeah, I did that thing today. And it's like a sign to yourself that you're taking your creativity seriously, that you're willing to give yourself that time, even if it's just a couple minutes to write down a couple lines of a poem or whatever, or do a doodle, or put down a couple of stitches or whatever. It's just a way of showing up for yourself and for your creative work and your creative life. And I think that that's really powerful. all the time, but especially in this weird time that we still find ourselves in, where it feels like we are so stuck in so many ways, just to have that availability of progress. And I've gone on about this for like way longer than necessary. I will link the blog post in the show notes, but I probably just explained the entire blog post in words right now. So yeah, that's me right now. I'm doing tiny things, and I think that's really great. And I hope that you will try a tiny thing too if you don't already have that sort of a practice in your life where you're doing a little thing daily. I encourage you to try it and let me know if you do. I would love to hear about it. And I think that's all. We're going to enjoy the snow. I hope you're warm and have good weather where you are. And we'll see you next week.